This was a series, this is a series of events that I believe may have been initiated on February 5th, that rippling effect that happens. So we get these earthquakes, right? We get these two giant earthquakes on Earth, and Earth has been rumbling since then. We've had a series of 6-pointers that's just pretty continuous that has gone on, and the patterns that were created on the surface of the Earth by these earthquakes created Fibonacci sequence. But here we go. It created these Fibonacci sequences within the eruptions. And then when I came back and I looked at how they were laying on the fault lines, it became pretty apparent that there was many radian expressions within that. And then I went to the planets. Well, I guess they'll load in a second, but I went to the planets, and there was 2 radiant expressions, one inside of another, and this was very, very powerful, from the sun, the Earth, and Saturn, and then Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and then to Uranus, which was conjunct the new moon at the time. So that sent this rippling wave, and then very shortly after that we get an X-ray, an X flare, and then now there's a giant coronal hole that's facing us. There's CMEs blasting off. Everything is basically recalibrating, and it's very much like when you're tuning guitar strings, right? And they want to recalibrate, you have to recalibrate them so that all of the strings are playing in harmony or playing in tune. And that was interesting. That was a card I pulled in today's reading, was harmony, because it has to readjust, right? We get this extra kick of energy, the strings pull, it releases a large amount of energy, and then that energy is dispersed and then recalibrated, and then everything has to come back to where it is all in sync. Right? So that's the process that I've been seeing, and that I've been identifying in an event of this size has allowed that expression to be pretty obvious. And then it comes back, right? It shoots all of this particle energy, huge wave, right? Like back out into the interplanetary magnetic field, and it becomes disrupted again. With a huge solar storm happening, there was this went up real high and created this incredible radio interference here. This is the X-ray flux, and it's saying Kp5, and then it went up to Kp6, and we even hit Kp7. And then we've been going back down to Kp6. So that's the index for the interplanetary magnetic field, the solar storms. They mix everything together, calculate it all out, and come up with this geomagnetic storm index. So we got a level 3 storm, which meant that aurora were seen all over the place. And then we got a series of tornadoes in Oklahoma that were really damaging. There were some fatalities, and this is a really interesting radar because it actually looks like a tornado. And then look at these ripples, almost like sound waves, right? Like the way that this is scattering. But here's Scotland, auroras in Scotland. They were seen all the way to the Netherlands. Wyoming had them. I think I put them up here. New Grange, right? Light Grange. This is what the book is all about. This is it right here, people. And it was also at Stonehenge. The aurora at Stonehenge. So if you guys are ever wondering or have any doubt in your mind about what I'm talking about when I talk about how this structure in particular, New Grange, was built to collect these waves, to collect this light, and it's refractory, right? So it's a lens. The light travels down the tunnel, it bounces off all of the stones, it gets down into the end, it reflects off of a water, right? a basin with water, and it creates these images. It creates these reflective holographic images of the light, the vibration, right, on the water, and then they're measurable by the indicators, the graphics within the cairns, right? So they can kind of measure them, right? We need some markers to do this by, and it's happening. See, right here. And these red aurora are because the oxygen has permeated the boundary. So red comes from higher altitudes, and again, red is responsible for the colors. So they're all oxygen, but when the particles enter the atmosphere at a certain angle, they turn red. And with the magnetic pole shifting, with it moving, we know it is. And we know that it has done this previously in the past. That, again, the colors and the presence, the way that the auroras behave are indicators in the sky for us as to how these movements are changing, what is happening, and the levels that we're experiencing at each of our places within our atmosphere and on the global sphere, right? And so they're starting to penetrate deeper into the atmosphere at different levels, at different times, more often, let's say at different times, more frequently, right? At lower latitudes, at lower altitudes, and they're creating these red auroras. So we have the geomagnetic forecast for today, the 27th. It did already go to 7. It's been back and forth there to 6. They're predicting that it will stay at 6. And then we did get that huge proton flux. That was intense because that affects our capillaries, it affects our nerves, it affects all of those things. I had a pounding headache. I was going to make this video for you yesterday, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have been able to include all of these beautiful pictures. I guess we should just keep our eye on it even further, and be prepared for more of this to be going on for the next, I would say, 3 months. I would say at least 3 months. I would say that this is going to be going on at least until the solstice, and then it'll shift, and I would almost think that it would start reverting back to the other way where the sun starts first. It's like the earth first and then the sun first, and then it goes back and forth, because when we're in our bright time, we're shining all of that back, right, and absorbing it, but when we're in the dark time, we're storing it. And then when we go from this winter solstice and the light starts to come back on, there's this huge energetic release of all of that storage that we've been putting down into the innermost inner core of the of the earth. Oh my gosh. So yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that. We'll keep checking it out. Thank you guys for listening to me. I'll be back soon, and I'm figuring this out, so hopefully eventually presentation will improve. All right, see you later.